and welcome to Walk, Don't Run. I'm Chris Stafford here on The Walking Show with Cindy Lehman. Cindy, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you today?
Good. Are you still doing a lot of walking? Race walking. We have to remind everybody, this is Walk, Don't Run. You just have to walk, but fast.
Yes, I'm doing a lot of training, and luckily for me in Central Ohio, it's been very warm lately, so I've been able to get our training miles in. I've been very excited.
Excellent. Early springtime in the north there. Good. Well, we should tell everybody what's coming up today. We have got Rachel Seaman here. She's going to be telling us about balancing family life with high-performance training, and she's managing to do that, really, with in between having children. So that's a conversation we're looking forward to a little bit later on in the program. But first of all, you've got quite a bit of news, haven't you? You've really been keeping up with what's happening there in race walking, Cindy.
Well, especially after talking to Erin Taylor Talcott in our last episode, there's been a lot going on with women and the 50K, which I found very exciting. First of all, Erin broke set a new PR for her 30K, 40K, and 50K during the USATF 50K National Championships in Santee, California on the 28th of January. And that was just really exciting to see that after we had just talked to her. Her finish time was 4:29:33, and her previous 50K PR was the American record of 4:33:23. So 4 minutes improvement is a lot. So which you would probably understand from the type of sports that you've participated in. 4 minutes is a huge amount of improvement.
It really is a huge amount. So whether we inspired her or she just, was on a roll when she came on the show here, she knew she was going to go out and beat some personal best records there. That's very, very impressive. So good for her. She's got a lot to look forward to this year with that kind of start, doesn't she?
Yes, but another thing that was very exciting about that race was even after setting that PR, Erin took second. The woman who took first place was Katie Burnett, and she set 2 new American records for the 50K and the 40K. The 50K record was 4:26:37, and the 40K was 3:31:04. So not only did she average 8:35 per mile at 5:19 per kilometer, but she was quite a bit faster than the previous American record, which was 4:33. So she was 7 minutes faster than the previous American record. And this was her first 50K.
I saw that.
That is very impressive.
First 50K. So no stopping Katie Burnett. Do you know anything more about Katie, where she's from?
Actually, I don't. I had intended to look into more of her history, and I just didn't find anything yet. But I thought it also gave credence to what Erin had said, that if you offer the 50K race, women will compete in it.
For sure. There you go. There's a case in point. And obviously, people are going to pay attention to that it is doable and it's going to become popular. So go Katie, go Erin. Awesome.
And then the other exciting thing that happened in the 50K, this was in Portugal, and it happened on January 15th. It was the first official IAAF women's 50K race walk, and Inez Enriquez, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Inez Enriquez set a new world record for the 50K of 4:08:25. So she averaged less than 5 minutes per kilometer and about an 8-minute mile for 50K. That's pretty fast.
Wow. Well, Katie, we thought, was doing really well there, and Erin, but this is the standard, obviously, that they've got to chase after then to take part in the official, as you say, the International Amateur Athletics Association Federation, that is, for the 50K race, the first official one. Interesting. So are there many of those races lined up then this year, Cindy? Have you noticed how many of those that they've got to choose from?
Actually, I haven't. That's something I should look into for our next episode.
Yeah, let's do that. Since we're promoting the 50K here, we should tell everybody where they can follow this new race, and hopefully we'll all the way to Tokyo. That's what we're hoping, right, for the next Olympic Games.
One thing I forgot to mention. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
One thing I forgot to mention was that Inez broke the world record by nearly 2 minutes. Wow. The previous record was 4:10:59, and she finished in 4:08:25. that's a pretty good improvement too.
Yes, and it was time that record was broken. That's a few years now, 2007. Also in Portugal too. What is it about the air in Portugal that they can break records so easily down there?
I don't know, but it seems like there's so many other countries that are faster than American race walkers. It's just really exciting. It'll be really exciting to see how fast women can get.
Sure. Well, it all begins in high school by the look of things, because you have some news from high school race walking, don't you?
Yes. And this woman is someone that we're going to watch for years, I'm sure. Her name is Lauren Harris, and she's from Sackham East High School in Farmington, New York. Farmingville, New York. She's a senior in high school. And on January 29th, she set a high school indoor race record for the 1500, and she finished in 6:17:59. The previous record was from 1998, and it was 6:28:20. So she finished fast, nearly 10 seconds fast. She is more than 40 seconds faster than the next fastest race walker in her age group right now. So I think we're going to see a lot from Lauren in the future here. She's very fast, and I've seen videos of her online, and she is adorable. I think she's going to be a great athlete to watch.
Fabulous. Well, yeah, we will follow this with interest. Some great news there. An inspiration from these more experienced race walkers too. The records are being broken, and hopefully, it give inspiration to these young high school race walkers too. So, yeah, good for them. Good news. What about you? Before we move on to our guests this week, where are you racing?
Well, I don't have any big races coming up until April, and I'm trying something different this year. I'm already doing half marathons, but I'm trying multiple day races. So in April, I'm doing a 10K on a Saturday and a half marathon on Sunday. And that's actually a training race for what I'm doing in May, which is the Flying Pig. And they have this 3-way with cheese, which is a 1-mile race on Friday, a 5K, 10K on Saturday, and a half marathon on Sunday. So I'm pretty excited about a new challenge. I already know I can finish a half marathon, and I am getting faster. So this gives me a little added incentive to train during the winter, when normally I get a little bit lazy, because I already know I can finish a half. Fabulous. So now I have something added to try.
Yeah, I certainly do have an incentive there. Yes, we're talking about marathon. Our guest this week is a marathon runner. Her parents were best marathon runners in Canada, right? So she had family inspiration. Yes. And a terrific heritage there, an example to follow. But she's made her own mark in the sport. So tell us a bit more about Rachel Seaman.
Well, Rachel Seaman is Canadian, and she is an Olympic race walker who holds several Canadian race walk records. She made her first Olympic team in 2012, competing in the 20K race walk. Then in 2013, she gave birth to her daughter, Isabella. And Rachel missed making the 2016 Olympic team because she had an injury. Now she's pregnant with her second child, which is perfect planning. And because she is an elite athlete, and she's a mother, and she is balancing training, competing, and now recovering from injury and family, I just thought it should be really interesting to see how she does everything, and she does it so well.
Well, Rachel joins us now from her training base in California, aren't you, Rachel?
Yep, here in San Diego.
San Diego. How are you? Welcome to the program.
Thanks, I'm doing great, thanks.
But you are expecting your second child, so where does this leave you with, the sport that you love? You seem to schedule it very well, have a baby, then get back into training, but you had a bit of an injury that interrupted you in the last year, didn't you, as well?
It definitely has been a challenging year, 2016, but now, looking forward to this baby coming in 2017, and my injury seems to have gone away, and I've done a lot of work to hopefully keep it that way for when I return after the second baby. So we'll see what happens.
So tell us about the timing now, your schedule.
It'll be interesting. With my first pregnancy, I had no expectations. I just thought, I wanted to give myself the recovery time after I had the baby and not rush into it too much, because you hear so many women that come back and get injuries or have different issues. And So I seem to have, done it very well with my first pregnancy. And so I plan on doing roughly the same timeline for this next one. So I definitely won't do any activity at all except for, regular walking for a month after I have the baby. And then we'll just slowly introduce activity from there. And I hope to get back into my more regular training schedule once September comes. I'll have the baby in May, and I'll have kind of the summer to kind of lose a little bit of the baby weight and kind of get used to just training in any kind of activity again. And then I can sort of go from there in September, hopefully.
How late into your pregnancy will you continue training?
Well, if I'm as lucky as last time, I ran 10K or 6 miles the day I was induced. So yeah, I'll keep going right to the end if I can. Last time I had to stop race walking about a month before I had just because my feet and my shins were just starting to really bother me and I couldn't kind of get over it. So I only ran from then on. This time I've had a bit more issues with my different training that I haven't been able to race walk as much as I did last time. So we'll see kind of what happens with that as I move forward. But I'll definitely hope to at least be running or on the elliptical or elliptigo over the next few months.
Well, that really confirms my suspicion here. We hear about women who are athletically very fit and therefore fitter. When it comes to the birth of the child itself, that whole process is meant to be easier. Have you found that to be the case with the first go round? How did that work for you?
For me, it was probably a bit different because I was induced, and so my labor was still very long and difficult. But I guess my doctor said to me that at least the pushing seemed I could handle it a lot better, just cardiovascular wise from all the training that I had done.
I'm actually surprised that the pounding from running didn't bother you. Because I do walk, I just expected that walking would be easier.
Well, the technique of it is what makes it a bit harder because even today, I actually race walked this morning, and if I have to go to the bathroom, then I have to start jogging because when I'm race walking, just the rotations and the different pressure it puts on your bladder, compared to running, even that becomes an issue. So it's kind of funny, the different things you would have when you're pregnant, when you're either running or race walking. So I think it's just the pure technique of it, the twisting and even though the impact isn't there with race walking, it's just the other things that come along with it.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, just unpack that for us a little bit more, Rachel, because I think that's important if anyone's listening to this and thinking, well, I would love to carry on when I'm pregnant right to the end, but I can't run. It's, maybe race walking would be for them. So you mentioned a couple of things there that really do impact you when you're pregnant, and running becomes an alternative at those times. Talk about the other training parts of your training schedule, and what are the things that you would do that you find help or actually don't help it during a pregnancy?
Yeah, the first time I was able to race walk, like I said, very long until the month before, and I had virtually no issues, and so at that point, I carried on like I normally would with most of my training schedule. Now I've had to do a lot of different changes that I've kind of just built up in my mind now that I have to be happy with what I can do and not, since I can't be doing what I want to be doing necessarily. And so right now I'm just happy to be able to be fit in any way. So if I even have to just go out for a hike, just go for a nice walk, I'm trying to be happy with that. I'm very competitive. I want to be, going faster or working hard in anything I do. But when limitations come up, I'm just learning to accept that it's okay, and that as long as I'm active and staying fit, that it will help. But every woman will be different with what they can do. And And now as I'm finding running is easier right now than it is to race walk, which usually I have a lot harder time running than race walking, because I usually am training most of my mileage is race walking. So I guess you just kind of need to adjust as you kind of go through a pregnancy, or even if it's be on the elliptical, which it's no fun if you have to be inside, but at least you get to stay active.
How long did you wait after Isabella was born before you started to compete again?
So I had her at the end of April, and then I guess my first race was in the middle of December. So I was surprised. I came back really well after having her. I was able to start training at my normal pace pretty quickly. After probably 3 or 4 months into getting back to being fit again. And then I was just very surprised with my comeback. I did very well, and I set Canadian records right off the bat in that 8 months after having her. So I have definitely had more success since having a child than before I did.
We mentioned there in the introduction to you, Rachel, how that this was inevitable that you would have a sporting career, given the background that you have. And now your husband is a coach as well. You had tried other things as well. I'm just curious as to why race walking really worked when you obviously have the potential to do so many different things. What was it about this that challenged you the most as an athlete?
So I started race walking when I was 15, and I was doing other track and field events that I really enjoyed to do. And I literally started race walking by making fun of my sister, who was race walking before me. I was just at track practice, and a lot of people find race walking to be a little bit goofy looking. And so, I was just out there making fun of her at the track, and our coach was like, "You're really good at that." And I did not want to do it. I think, it was not as popular. Nobody knew what it was, and clearly I was making fun of her for it. So it definitely wasn't my number one thing to go to. But luckily a friend started at the same time as me, and it just sort of made it easier to get going with that. But I think like any kid, that if you start having success with something, it becomes a bit more appealing, and then you kind of grow to love it from there. And I think I enjoyed the challenge of it being different, and not everybody understanding it. I got made fun of quite a bit in high school, or people just intrigued by it also. But I liked the challenge of the idea of they're making fun of me because I was good at something. And so I think it just kind of springboarded from there.
When you were in high school, did you set some Canadian records?
I did when I was my last year as a junior, so I was 19. Junior in athletics, not in school. And so that was my first Canadian record, and it was a big deal at the time. I think that also helped me really want to continue once I was in college and hopefully then after college.
So given that where you are right now in your career, Rachel, and 2020 Olympics is a goal for you, what kind of schedule would you have to qualify for Tokyo between now, once you get back into training after the birth of your next child?
So I'll have 3 years. So I'm probably ideally would do the same kind of build up like I did last time. There's always a championship or a competition every year to build towards, and so I have some good goals going into next year. Being Canadian, there's the Commonwealth Games in Australia next year. And so that'll be the first one to kind of get me motivated and get me back into it. And then I just hope to build from there and hopefully stay injury-free this time and hopefully get back to the Olympics and compete again.
Have you figured out why you tore your hamstrings?
Not really sure how it happened. I mean, in most tear situations, you would have like a pop or something that you would have noticeably determined when it happened. For me, it was just a slow buildup of that it was tight, and then it just gradually got tighter and tighter. And with all the treatment I was getting, it still was not addressing the issue. And so we finally got an MRI, and that's when I saw that I had a tear. And so there's a few different factors that we can look back at and think, oh, maybe this is why it happened, but there was no specific thing that jumps out at us that, we think that created the issue. And so that's partly how it's a bit frustrating too, because it's like, oh, you don't even really know what happened. But we're addressing some strength issues that were maybe lacking a bit, and some technique issues that could have contributed to it. So we're kind of seeing what potential causes and moving forward to get stronger in those areas. So hopefully we're set up better for when I come back from this.
Well, clearly you're an overachiever, Rachel, and you're going to be ambitious and want to break more records. It's not as if you don't have enough already, and with all the race walking achievements you've done. And I'm thinking now of the you did 10K, 20K, and all of the others as well, indoors and road and track. But the 50K, where does this fit into your bucket list of ambitions?
I respect women who do the 50K. It's very difficult, or the men. I mean, I've watched many 50K races and just watched the 50K championship here in the U.S. last weekend. For me personally, I have no desire to do a 50K. I don't know. I just never, even people ask me, would you ever run a marathon? And I mean, I probably do more training than most, people who just go out there and do a marathon. And I've just never had that desire to do the really longer distances. I mean, who knows? Maybe in a few years we'll listen back to this interview and I will have done a 50K,
And we'll have you back on the show and you can tell us all about it and why you changed your mind. So finally, before we let you go, Rachel, what's on your bucket list?
Obviously, first thing is just getting back after this pregnancy, and hopefully I can do that. And then just the Commonwealth Games next year, I'd really like to medal. So that would be a really big deal for me. And then I think just like progressing really well leading up to the Olympics. I really thought I had a chance to come top 10 at this last Olympics. And so ideally I can do that in Tokyo, and then we'll see what happens after that, if I continue another 4 years or not. But that'll be a good start for now.
All right. So no more children planned along the way then between now and Tokyo then. Is that right? I'm not putting my foot in it here for you, am I?
Oh, no. Hopefully this is going to be it. I think okay. My husband has a hard time dealing with the one. So 2 will be enough for us, I think.
Awesome.
Wait till they're teenagers.
Yeah, I know. We're in for it for sure.
Fabulous. Well, the very best of luck with your recovery from injury, getting through this pregnancy and then getting back into full swing all the way to the Com Games. Of course, as you say, that will be your first goal, and then on to Tokyo, Rachel. Thank you very much indeed for coming on the program, and stay fit, keep well, and the very best of luck.
Thank you.
Well, there's inspiration, Cindy. She obviously has got things figured out in terms of timing. Again, as you said in the introduction, she's balancing having children and, family life. But again, I mean, she's got so much potential still. There's a lot of race walking to come from Rachel Seaman. Cindy, what else is new in your world? You've got nice weather. You're upping your training. You've got new goals. Life is good, is it? Do you do any writing these days?
Well, I'm getting back to doing a little more writing right now. I've had a dry spell for a little bit, so I'm getting back to doing some writing. So you should be seeing some more things from me in the near future.
All right, we will look out for that. And of course, we'll put a link in our show notes to whatever Cindy's up to. Well, certainly you can follow her on Twitter. And you can follow us, of course, on social media at Wisp Sports. You can find more conversations around the world of women's sports on our website at wispsports.com. We cover absolutely everything here at Wisp Sports, from videos to podcasts to blogs and articles and the news. So every sport out there that women do, we cover it in some shape or form, and lots of great new programs too. Locker Room Talk is talking about the Muslim issues that are facing female athletes, and that's an interesting conversation that they've had. And they've also talked about diversity in triathlon, expanding that conversation with an African American guest on the latest episode of Wisp Iron Women. So lots to come here. We'll be back next month with another episode of Walk Don't Run, the walking show. But for now, thank you for listening.